The topics that affect the client-based systems include the applets and the local caches. Caches are temporary storage on the client system, used for future needs. There are several kinds of caches such as ARP cache, DNS cache, and Internet Files cache. Address Resolution Protocol is used to discover MAC addresses on a network, and one of its major security issues is that an ARP poisoning attack could send false information to the system, linking IP addresses to false MAC addresses. Another issue with ARP is the capability of an attacker to enter false static ARP entries directly into the system, although it requires direct local access, which could be performed by a Trojan horse or a social engineering attack. The consequence of false ARP entries is that the client system will send traffic to different systems from those that it intends, which could be set up as a man-in-the-middle attack. The second form of caches is the DNS cache. The domain name system associates domain names with IP addresses, and one of its major security issues is Dns Cache Poisoning. Similar to the ARP poisoning, an attacker is capable of sending a false DNS response to a client, which would associate a domain name to a different IP address. The first form of DNS poisoning is by manipulating the host's file on the system, which contains a hard-coded association between addresses and names. The second form is an attack that targets authorized DNS servers, where being able to manipulate the system affects all the client systems that rely on it. Since this is not an easy attack and it gets detected quickly, attackers might try a third form of DNS poisoning by targeting the caching DNS servers, which are usually provided by the local ISP or by the organization internally. These servers provide the same services as the authorized DNS servers, however attacking them won't be detected by the worldwide security community. The fourth DNS poisoning form is by sending the client a false DNS server address which is controlled by the attacker, either by manipulating the DHCP or by assigning the false DNS address statically. The fifth form is DNS poisoning by spoofing the DNS queries sent by the client system, where an attacker can capture these queries and send false information back. The third form of caches is the local system cache, where temporary internet files are stored. This cache contains the website contents that a user visits, including the file caches. Security issues related to the file cache include the split response attack, where a client downloads content that is not an intended part of the requested web page. Mobile scripting attacks are another security issue, which can be used to inject false content into the file cache. This false content could be called when a user even visits a legitimate web page. There are no proper patches that could resolve these issues completely, but keeping the operating system and the applications updated is important, and installing intrusion detection and prevention systems provides a further preventative control. Regularly reviewing the DNS and DHCP system records helps in detecting any abnormal behaviors or potential threats.